guys, I am here doing the mid-year book Freakout tag, and I'm really excited to be here doing this tag with you guys. In case you can't tell, I am sick, so we'll see how this all goes, but it's going to be really fun. Let's just get into how my book year has been going thus far. The first question starts out strong and optimistic and asks, what's the best book you've read so far in 2019? I have a couple possible answers for this, but I think for this one I'm going to go with Circe by Madeline Miller. This book explores how ancient Greek myths can be written and discussed in a modern light, as it follows Circe, the daughter of Helios, who is a witch in ancient Greece, as she's exiled to an island, and her life there, where she encounters numerous Greek heroes, gods, titans, etc., etc., etc. And it's a really interesting book. It's written in a really lyrical style, and I love the way that Madeline Miller handles the complex realities of discussing immortality, discussing magic, discussing power, discussing how a female would operate in such a realm. And I really enjoy how she touches on it so deftly. It's really a fun read, and I highly recommend it for anyone who has any interest in Greek myth, who like me grew up on like Percy Jackson stories, and now they're looking for more adult fare in that vein. Second question is, what is the best sequel you read in 2019? And for me, this is an easy one. I haven't read many sequels, and I would definitely say my best sequel has been Muse of Nightmares by Laini Taylor. The book is beautiful, and as the second book in a duology, it wraps up the tale really well while still leaving a lot of area for interpretation, growth, and consideration of what would happen with the characters after the story ends. I really love how Laini Taylor writes, and the way that she the tempo and the pacing of her books are so beautiful, along with her incredibly beautiful writing style, and I just gobbled it up. I read that book, and I just couldn't put it down. It was so amazing. I love it so much. Highly recommend. It's beautiful. It's amazing. If BookTube hasn't hyped it up enough for you, I'm hyping it more. Read Muse of Nightmares. It's amazing. I loved it. Third question is a new release that has come out in 2019 that you haven't read yet, but you know you have to in the second half of the year. And the one I'm going with is relatively popular right now, and it's Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I've heard really good things about this book. It's just a really cute story about the first son of the President of the United States falling in love with the Prince of England, His Royal Highness, and it just sounds adorable. I've heard really good things about the plot and how it's fluffy and adorable, and I got to read it this summer. It sounds really fun, and I've heard ridiculous amounts of good things about it, and I have to get on board the hype train. I just have to. The fourth question is your most anticipated release of the second half of the year. And this one's hard for me because I haven't heard a ton of stuff coming out in the second half of the year that I'm really excited about. The only one is the ever so popular Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I've heard really good things about it, and it sounds intriguing. I enjoyed Leigh Bardugo's Six of Crows duology, but I didn't quite enjoy her first trilogy, starting with Shadow and Bone. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. But I'm really excited for Ninth House. It sounds interesting, and I feel like Leigh Bardugo's style will fit better with an adult book where she can go darker and grittier, and I'm really excited to see how that goes. But if you have any books coming out in the second half of 2019 that you think will be really good, I want to hear about it, because I am currently kind of meh about the books that I've heard about coming out so far in 2019 in the second half. I know there's Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern, but I want to hear more exciting books coming out this year, because I haven't heard enough, and I'm curious. Question number 5 is a little more of a downer. It's your biggest disappointment in 2019 so far. And for me, I would definitely say that would be The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee. I know it's really well loved by a lot of people, and it does have some really positive representation. And the fact that it has that positive representation is not my problem. For me, I just struggled with the tone of the book, and I just really didn't like Monty. So I'd heard so many good things about it, but then I went to read it, and it felt like a middle grade book, and I didn't want a middle grade book when I went to read The Gentleman's Guide. And so that tone and the petulant way that Monty is written really frustrated me, and I had a really hard time with it. I understand why other people would like it, but the writing style just wasn't for me. And that's okay, but it was a disappointment on my end. Number 6 is your biggest surprise of 2019 so far. And for me, that would definitely be Stay With Me by Ayobami Adebayo. This book is from a Nigerian author discussing a Nigerian couple as their marriage slowly falls apart over several years surrounding their ability, or in their case lack thereof, to have children. And it's a fascinating portrait, and it's a fascinating look into how our families and how our culture can affect us. I really recommend it for adult readers who are comfortable discussing that sort of topic, because it's really well done, and her writing style is really beautiful. It's not lyrical like I tend to go for more, but it's a really beautiful book, a really sad book, and a really complicated book that I still think about. So I would highly recommend that for anyone looking for a book that explores a relationship from more complex terms. Question number 7 is your newest favorite author. For me, that's definitely Elizabeth Acevedo. I read The Poet X just a little while ago, and I loved that book. It was insanely good, and I loved the way that she wrote it. I want to read her other book, With the Fire on High, because that recently came out, and it sounds really good as well, because I found her writing style really beautiful. I don't know if that will continue on into her prose, but her verse was amazing, and it conveyed her point so well that I'm really excited to read her other books, because I feel so touched by The Poet X, and I really love what she's done thus far, and I'm really excited to see what she continues to do. Question number 8 is kind of fun to me. So it's your favorite fictional crush, and that's not really how I read books, but, like, I get the point. Is like, for me, it's more of a, what characters would you want to, like, go and just chat with for long periods of time and just, like, hang out with? That's kind of the way that I approach this question. And so for that, I'd probably go with, for contemporary, I'd go with Levi from Fangirl. He's just a really fun dude, and I would love to hang out with him. And I did relate to Kath in a couple different ways. So he just seems like a really fun guy, really chill person to hang out with. And as someone who is a tad neurotic, just a tad, I think hanging out with someone who's a bit more relaxed and easygoing would be really fun. Because I found reading about him to be quite the joy. If we're going for something that's more fantastical, I would say Laszlo Strange from Strange the Dreamer. He's a really interesting character if you're going for the heroic type. That's not really me, but it was really fun to read about Laszlo, and he has a passion for books too, and you gotta commend that. Question number 9 is your favorite new fictional character. And for me, that would definitely be Evelyn Hugo. She has so much nuance and grayness that she's a fascinating character to read about. I don't know if I'd want to hang out with Evelyn Hugo, because she's not the nicest person in the world, but she's not a nice person. That's a big part of her. The thing with Evelyn Hugo is that she's very complicated and intense, and while you can relate to her and understand her and sympathize with her, I don't know, you're not supposed to like Evelyn Hugo all the time, because she does some not so nice things. And I find just reading about her and the way that she is to be so intriguing, and I still think about Evelyn Hugo, because the way that she handles being a woman with a career who's ambitious and she strives to be her best is just really inspiring and really thought-provoking in our modern climate, where there's so much discussion about how women can have a career and have a relationship and all of that. The way that Evelyn Hugo handles it is one really interesting solution when she faced so many stressors in her fictional career. Question number 10 is a book that made you cry. And for this, I'm going with The Princess Saves Herself, and this one by Amanda Lovelace. I read this book earlier in the year, and this poetry collection just had me, like, sobbing. I read it in one sitting, and it was, like, it was a Saturday night, and I was just, like, so many tears. I was just like, I can't handle it. It's so poignant. It's so truthful. It was really good. I really enjoyed the poetry collection, and I'm not a big person that's into poetry, and so the fact that I really liked this book was really interesting and really enjoyable for me. Question number 11 is a book that made you happy. And for this, I'm going with P.S. I Like You by Casey West. I just recently read this, and it's just one of those fluffy YA contemporary romances that are just adorable and very tropey and very cheesy, but they're just so sweet and heartwarming. That was what P.S. I Like You was for me. I knew from the beginning what was basically going to happen, but it's just one of those books where you enjoy the ride, enjoy seeing the characters interact with each other, and you just feel warm in your heart. It was very sweet. It was very cute. I haven't read any other Casey West books, but I found this one really good. The 12th question was a bit of a tricky one for me, and that was because it was asking the most beautiful book that you bought or received. And if you've seen any of the videos on my channel, you'll know that I don't buy many books at all. So I didn't actually have a lot of choices for this. So I went with a book that I bought myself a little while ago. I went with the Penguin Classics edition of Persuasion by Jane Austen. I just love the style of the Penguin Classics edition because I find them so traditional and classic, as the name suggests. I love that they're cloth bound. The paper quality is really beautiful. I know you can't tell, but like, it's so nice. It feels so smooth. I just think it's a really beautiful book, and I haven't read it yet, but I think it'll actually also be a really enjoyable reading experience. So I'm really excited to try that out because this is a book I want to get to this year. Because I worry that if outside of school I don't read a lot of classics, and that's not something I want to continue, especially since now that I'm not taking more English courses, it's going to be harder to motivate myself to read classics. Question number 13 is a bit of more of a challenging one, as it asks you to make some more commitments. So it's, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? And for me, there's one big one. My big one priority, because it requires some other stuff to happen first, is I really want to read this monster, Queen of Air and Darkness. It's huge. I really want to read it really badly. I've read all of Cassandra Clare's other books, aside from the most recent novella collection. I haven't read that one. The only thing about reading Queen of Air and Darkness is that I made a commitment with myself that I wouldn't read it until I went back and read the rest of the Cassandra Clare books. So I either have to break a promise with myself and not reread all the Cassandra Clare books, or I have to reread all the Cassandra Clare books, which there are many, before I get to this one. So the thing for me is I want to read Queen of Air and Darkness, so I need to go back and read all the Cassandra Clare. And none of them are hard books. There's just like a dozen of them. So I need to get on that. I need to be reading them. I have a couple other priorities. I really want to read Skyward by Brandon Sanderson because it's been really intriguing me. I want to finish my reread of Harry Potter on audiobooks because that's been something I've been wanting to do for a while, because I haven't actually reread The Deathly Hallows ever. I've read it once and then I never went back and read it, and I know it's a travesty. It hurts my soul too. So that's happening this year. I'm just waiting for the audiobooks from the library. Oh, I want to reread the Aragon series. I don't know why, but I'm in a bit of a rereading kick right now. So I want to reread the Cassandra Clare books, to reread Harry Potter, and I want to reread the Aragon, the Inheritance Cycle, because I just love those books and I really enjoy them, and I just miss reading them. I promised a friend that I would try the first book in Game of Thrones, so I should probably at least get to that this year at some point, depending on how library book cycles go. But yeah, so Queen of Air and Darkness is my priority though. So I really want to get to that. So that will be what I'm working towards most fervently. But I'm really excited to read all these books. I've already read, at the time of the filming of this video, I've read 40 books so far this year, which is a lot for me. So I'm really excited to continue on my reading journey this year, see how things go. I'd love to hear how your reading year has been going so far, and any plans you have for your reading year in the comments down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in another video.